What up, everybody? Welcome back to NC Thrills, and today I'll be counting down the top 10 rides at the Universal Orlando Resort. As you may know, I just got back from my Universal trip, which also included SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, but I'm not talking about that today. I am focusing on the favorite things I rode at Universal. You might have seen my pre-trip rankings. This is my post-trip rankings. This is final. I thought about this long and hard, and I think I got it locked down. Starting off, number 10, we got Hiccups Wing Gliders at Epic Universe. My pre-trip rankings was number 9, and now it's 10, so it moved down one spot. It was more mild than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be more like Hagrid's, but it was fairly mild, which kind of disappointed me. But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool seeing the Toothless animatronic, just the whole ride area, just the presentation of it was really cool. The Isle of Berk was awesome. My favorite part was probably the drop over the water. Like you go up into that hill and then you drop down, do those little twists and turns. The part that everyone records, the part that you just saw. It is just a really fun family coaster, but it was a family coaster, so it can't reach any higher. Okay, next up, number 9. This was a surprise. It was Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Florida, and it was not ranked. I didn't think it was that going to be good. I legit thought it was going to be a dark ride coaster. I didn't expect launches. I didn't expect an actual layout. It was smooth and it was fun. I liked the cool dark ride parts. The whole presentation, again, Universal knocked it out of the park. It was really cool looking. The queue was like you're going through an exhibit, a mummy exhibit, so it was really cool. I thought the ride was a lot of fun. Probably the most comfortable Premier Rides trains, which isn't saying a lot. So whatever they did with those, they need to start doing that with everything else because their trains suck. But that's another topic for another day, probably not. I just thought it was a really fun ride, so that's why it is at number 9. Okay, next up, number 8, we got Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Universal's Islands of Adventure. Pre-trip ranking was number 8, so it's equal. This thing was a lot of fun. It was the first ride I did at the resort, and I had so much fun doing it. I felt like I was in the movies. It was a great mix of physical sets and screens. I did Expedition Odyssey the day before at SeaWorld Orlando, and which opened in 2025, and Forbidden Journey screens looked just as good, so that shows you how well that ride has held up. I rode this thing 3 times, and the more I rode it, the more I got mad with it, because it does not follow the story of the movies whatsoever. Like there's Dementors at the Quidditch field. It's just some random stuff out of nowhere. You just end up in the Chamber of Secrets. Does not follow the story at all. It's just more of an exposition for the characters and the different creatures in the movies, which I guess for a casual that's cool, but as a fan of Harry Potter, it's not my cup of tea, just not following the story. So that's my biggest gripe, but the ride itself was a lot of fun. So that's why it is staying higher on this. This is why it's staying lower on the list because of my complaints, but it's still an amazingly fun ride. Okay, next up, number 7, we got Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts at Universal Studios Florida. My pre-trip ranking was 4, and it dropped quite a bit. It was really fun. I've never been on a Intamin 4D coaster, so this was my first one, and it was really cool. It just didn't do a whole lot for me. I was expecting more thrills. There wasn't really more thrills. I actually thought there was a drop track, not even kidding. I had no idea what it did, but there is no drop track, so that was a little sad. The storyline was cool. It stayed pretty true to the movies. You saw Voldemort. That was nice. What a cool guy. It was just a fun ride. A lot of screens, but there's also some physical sets. Like, it was just fun. I don't want to do too many spoilers, so I'll just leave it at that. But it just wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be. Okay. Next up, number 6, we got Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Universal's Islands of Adventure. The pre-trip rating was 5, and this thing was fun. I think it's way overrated, in my opinion. It is really overrated, like too overhyped. People have it in like their top 100s, like top 25s even. I'm like, it's not that good. It's family-esque, family thrill. The 7 launches are really, they hit really well. But it's still more family coaster-ish. Everyone on the ride, they loved it. They were like cheering after the ride was done. It is a very immersive ride. The drop track was cool. All the launches were nice and they hit, except for the first one. Just not really any airtime, so that's my thing. I like whip and airtime, and obviously since it's more of a family attraction, that's what it was. It is a really cool immersive ride, but not what I'm really looking for, but still incredibly fun. Okay, next up, number 5, we got Monsters Unchained at Universal's Epic Universe. The pre-trip ranking was number 6, so it moved up 1. This thing was so good. I didn't know it was going to be that good. I knew it was good, but I didn't know it was going to be really good. I didn't think I'd like this more than Forbidden Journey, and I did. It was a lot of fun. The physical sets, the screens, it was just seamless. I didn't feel like I was on a ride. So the fact that they made the ride vehicle kind of part of the story, that really helps out a lot. So you don't feel like you're on a ride, you feel like you're in the story. Is just incredible. The animatronics looked amazing. Just such an incredible experience. The castle was awesome. The pre-show was really cool. It was just a really fun, immersive experience into that crazy world of monsters. Okay, next up, number 4, we have Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure. Pre-trip ranking was number 7. I did not think it was going to be as good as it was. This thing was really intense. I think this is my favorite B&M sit-down looper. So it's number 2 favorite looper in general, but like my favorite sit-down looper. It's so much fun. The launch is really punchy. I did not expect it to be that punchy. A ton of whip on the Cobra Roll, a ton of positive G's on the vertical loop. That first corkscrew is very whippy. Those turns have a nice whip, but once you hit the mid-course break, it kind of slows down a little bit. So it kind of loses its speed there and its power. But the onboard audio helps. The tunnels, just over the lagoon. It is such a fun ride. Another ride where the presentation is really cool in the queue. I did wait too long for this in the single rider line. It was so stupid the second time around, but whatever. You live and you learn. But it's just so much fun. It exceeded my expectations, but it's probably as high as a B&M looper can get, in my opinion. So that's why it's stuck here at number 4, but it is a lot of fun. Okay, next up, number 3, the last dark ride on the list, and it is Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry at Epic Universe. Pre-trip ranking is equal. It was at number 3. This thing is the best dark ride I've ever been on, but that's not saying a lot. It is the shooting dark ride at Indiana Beach, Reese's Cup Fusion at Hershey Park, Boo Blasters at Kings Island, and the Universal rides. So yeah, it's a low bar. But this thing was incredible. You just, again, feeling so immersed. Awesome use of physical sets and screens. The screens themselves are super high-tech and modern. They look real. It is just such a fun ride. I'm not going to use too many spoilers because you need to go and experience it for yourself. Do expect to wait in a long line. I got there and we went straight to the ride. The line was outside of the stinking portal. We were outside of the portal, and we went there. We waited 2 hours. Then the ride broke down, but we got express passes for free because we were really helpful to the grouper guy. He gave us express passes for the ride so we could come back when it reopened. Waited probably an hour in the express line, and then finally got on, and it broke right after the ride stopped. So it was crazy. We basically barely got on it. Walking through the Ministry of Magic itself, my mouth was hung wide open. It was insanely accurate and just so awesome. Super fun ride. But I learned from this trip that I'm not the biggest fan of dark rides. They're just not my thing, really. So this thing, to get this high of praise is a lot. But like, there's a significant gap between this and the top two, because the top two are coasters, and they're world-class coasters at that. But Battle of the Ministry, such a fun dark ride, incredible. Okay, here we go, top two, and it is the exact same top two as my pre-trip ranking. So yeah, there's that. So if you watch that video, you know that number 2 is Stardust Racers at Epic Universe. This thing didn't really meet my expectations that much. I thought it was going to be like top 5, maybe even number 1, but it's sliding in at like number 10 or 11, I believe. My first ride on the green track, I was in the 3rd row, so near the front, and it just felt slow and kind of pointless up there. So that was a little disappointing. Then I got right back on, got in the back on yellow, and I was like, okay, this is really good. Then I came back later, got on the back in green. I'm like, okay, here we go. Then I got another ride in the back on yellow. I'm like, okay, this is really fun. But in the front, it is pointless, and that's what's holding it back. I think you can really judge how well a ride is if you can get good rides in the front and in the back. And from my experience, I just couldn't get that on Stardust, so that's why it's held back on my rankings. But it is still an amazing ride. Those launches are awesome. Tons of ejector airtime, sustained ejector airtime, and it is just airtime. That's also another complaint I have. I know I love airtime, but I'm also a big fan of whip, and I like whip and airtime. That is my cup of tea. That's what makes my favorite rides. And there's just not a ton of whip in Stardust Racers, but there is a ton of airtime, which is awesome. Probably the only time there's a lot of whip is the Celestial Spin, which just so happens it's not my favorite part of the ride. I do think the death roll is superior to the Celestial Spin, and I do prefer getting the pole over the Celestial Spin. So Celestial Spin on, I believe, the green side, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is better. So whenever you go up and then go invert going down, I prefer that than inverting while going up. But my favorite part of the ride is probably the first camelbacks after the first launch, in my opinion. Just tons of sustained ejector airtime. I did get pretty stapled on one of my rides, so that did hold it back, but that's Mock Rides Lap Bars for you. But yeah, such a fun ride, so cool looking. Just seeing it at night and riding at night is something else. One of the best night rides in the world. Okay, here we go. Number 1, what else? It's Velocicoaster. It was ranked number 1 in the pre-trip, and it's number 1 here. My new number 2 overall roller coaster. This thing has everything. I don't think I have a single complaint, except for it does have a slight rattle, but I could give a crap. Yes, the first launch, it's not the best, but it is really good. Gets you started. And the paddock, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I was expecting it to be more mild in the paddock, but it was not. Probably probably the best part in the paddock was that dive loop, which I did not remember. I've seen this POV so many times, and I forgot about the dive loop. That dive loop in the back just tosses you over, and it's insane. You get some really good side-to-side airtime on some of them switchback hills, but then you hit the second launch, and that's when the show starts. Over that top hat, you get some floater going up in the back, but once you go down, you are just thrown over that top hat, and then again you're thrown into the stall, and then whenever you exit the stall, you're thrown back out. Then you hit that outer banked hill, you bank normally, then out of nowhere you bank outwardly and just get tossed out of your seat, and then tossed back into your seat as you flip back. Then there's some dead space in those turnarounds there, but then you come out of those turns, hit the bunny hill, which doesn't really give much airtime. I was a little disappointed in that. It looked like it gave good airtime, but it doesn't really. And then you hit the grand finale, the best element I've ever experienced. It is the Mosasaurus roll. I call it ejector hang time. You get thrown out of your seat as you go upside down, and then thrown back as you flip back up. Then you go into the brakes, and it is just nuts. My favorite rides, I've always had to catch my breath after my first ride and after other rides too, and this is no exception. It is such a fun experience. The queue is so cool inside. The show, it's like explaining that what's going on, what the ride does, and it's so cool. Those Raptor animatronics in the station, they're so lifelike. It's awesome. It's just a full experience, and all the things on this list, they are all experiences, but Velocicoaster does the best at mixing the experience with the high thrill, and that's what I wanted out of my favorite ride, and that's what Velocicoaster gave me. Okay, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos just like this. I'm gonna give some more Universal stuff, but I'm gonna mix it up next week because this is back-to-back Universal, so just mix it up a little bit. Stay tuned for my future trips and stuff. I plan on trying to do some vlog stuff, so maybe you'll see that in the near future. If you are subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell. Be sure to comment down below. I love seeing your comments. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Have a good day. Peace.